Join me in this video today as I travel to the state of Mississippi to see firsthand where country music legend George Jones totaled this 1982 Lincoln Town Car. George was in his 7th year of living in the northwest corner of Alabama, where he had lived since his split with Tammy Wynette in 1975. On March 29, 1982, he left for a trip to Tyler County, Texas, with his fiancée Nancy, her teenage daughter, and their dog. He wanted to see his sister and then check himself into rehab for alcohol and drug abuse. He ended up getting arrested twice within a 24-hour period and never made it any further than the state of Mississippi before turning around and going back home to Alabama. The first arrest happened while he was drinking heavily and doing cocaine in the car. He became angry while Nancy was driving, and he put his foot over her foot and he pressed the accelerator while she was driving down Interstate 55 South. As he made her accelerate to a high rate of speed, they were pulled over doing 91 miles per hour in a 55 mile an hour zone. This was about 20 miles south of Jackson. Everybody was thrown in jail, including Nancy, the daughter, and even the dog. George was charged with public drunkenness and possession of cocaine. Nancy received a couple of charges as well. They were released later that day and spent the night in a motel. George woke up the next morning with a terrible hangover and decided not to go to Texas. Now I'll get to the main point of this video, which is the second arrest. He began driving north, back towards Alabama, and got slobbering drunk. Nancy grew fearful for her safety, and she managed to get George to stop so she could get out of the car. As George put it in his book, he was angry and pushed them all out of the car and took off. That actually happened near where I am now. At the time, the place on the left was called Kerr McGee. Today, it is called Tronox, if I'm pronouncing that right. Nancy got out of the car just a short distance past this facility. This is the old Highway 45. Highway 45 is now a 4-lane and takes a different route, but in 1982, this was the actual route that George was traveling. He then went a few more miles north on 45 and then made a right-hand turn onto Lackey Road. He traveled several miles east before making a wrong turn onto Grub Springs Road. I think he was trying to turn left to get to Alabama, but for some reason he turned right onto Grub Springs. Well, he wrecked the car within a mile after turning onto Grub Springs. The car probably flipped 2 or 3 times, it was estimated, traveled another 300 feet, hit the first embankment, and then it hit a second embankment before it ended up in the road right side up. One source said that George got out of the car and laid down in the ditch, and another source said that George was still inside the car when help arrived, so I don't know which is right. He had also ran a few other cars off the road, and law enforcement was already looking for him prior to the accident. Luckily, he escaped with only a few minor injuries. I didn't have anyone to show me the exact spot, so I don't know for sure, but it wasn't a curve, and the embankments were red clay, and you can't really see much red clay here for the growth. Nancy knocked on the door at someone's house and told them what had happened. The resident had been listening to a police scanner and told Nancy about the wreck and offered to drive her to the scene. Nancy got there in time to ride in the ambulance with George to the hospital. He was singing while he was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. One of the medics kept the radio mic open, and anyone with a scanner could hear George singing. One local resident told me he thinks the song was, "If the drinking don't kill me, her memory will." In 1982, this was the Aberdeen Monroe Hospital. Today, it is Monroe Regional Hospital, and this is the emergency room entrance. When George was here, word quickly spread and many people had gathered that you couldn't get within 2 blocks of the place. George was admitted for a checkup around 2:50 p.m., was in stable but good condition. And by the way, the accident occurred around 2 p.m. on March the 30th, 1982. He was treated and released. Across from the courthouse is where the sheriff's department was in 1982, and this is where George wrote a bad check for $737.50. Today, the health department is now here. He pled guilty to the charges of driving while intoxicated, reckless driving, driving without a license, and possession of alcohol in a dry county. As a term for his release, George had to be admitted for treatment at Hillcrest Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama, where he was also admitted a couple of years earlier. He was taken there immediately upon his release from jail on the same day. Jerry Smith of Smith's Body Shop was the one who towed the car from the accident scene. The car remained at the body shop here at this location, which is now Holloway's Body Shop. Jerry Smith still helps here working on cars. The Smiths eventually acquired the car from the insurance company and began to repair the car. While the car was wrecked, a cherry vodka bottle was taken from it. It was used as evidence and kept as a souvenir. There was dog food all over the place, and people actually took pieces of broken glass as souvenirs as well. The Smiths kept the car for about 4 or 5 years before they sold it for about $20,000. Someone said that after they fixed it up, that it was driven in a local Christmas parade. Sheriff Patterson was eventually paid the $737.50 he was owed from the bad check. George talks about this incident on pages 387 to 392 in his 1996 book titled, I Live to Tell It All. He was once again arrested a couple of months later near Franklin, Tennessee. That incident was captured on video, and you can see it on YouTube. Thanks for watching these videos, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please hit the like button, please share and subscribe, as it will help this channel grow.